Welcome to SDR IAS Academy Civil Services Coaching Program. In our Indian Polity lecture, we are discussing about the Parliament of India. So far we have covered various important aspects regarding the Parliament of India. And now, in this video lecture, we are going to see about the role of Parliament of India and then the position of Rajya Sabha with respect to the Lok Sabha. The Parliament of India is the supreme governing body. And we know that the Constitution of India has mandated various duties to be performed by the Parliament of India. To perform those duties, the Parliament is in need of some powers to execute. And for that reason, the Constitution has awarded a lot of powers and functions for the Parliament of India. The most important powers and functions which were awarded to the Parliament of India were: number 1, the legislative powers; number 2, the executive powers; and then number 3, the financial power, constituent power and functions, and then the judicial power, electoral power. Apart from these 6 powers, there were numerous other important powers and functions were also allotted to the Parliament of India to execute its constitutional obligations. And now in this video lecture, we are going to see about the each and every powers and functions of the Parliament of India in a detailed manner. First, let us discuss about the legislative powers and functions of the Parliament of India. The main duty of the Parliament of India is to enact various laws for the effective functioning of the Government of India. The Constitution of India in the 7th schedule has clearly specified the division of powers between centre and states. The 7th schedule of the Constitution of India has classified the subjects into 3 categories. They were Union List, Concurrent List, and State List. Accordingly, the Union Government or Central Government has the exclusive power to enact various laws on the subject mentioned in both the Union List as well as residuary subjects. Here, the residuary subjects is the subjects which is not mentioned in the all the 3 list which is specified in the 7th schedule, which is the subject which is not mentioned in the 7th schedule, where comes under the residuary subjects, and these residuary subjects comes under the exclusive power of the Parliament of India. Apart from that, for concurrent list, the Parliament of India has the overriding power. Suppose consider if the state government as well as the union government has the power to make laws on the concurrent list. If suppose the laws made by state government and central government or union government contradicts with each other, then in such cases the union government laws overrides the state government's laws, and thereby it gives the overriding power to the Parliament of India. But you have to understand that the Parliament of India has no power to make laws regarding the subjects mentioned in the state list in 7th schedule of Constitution of India. But under some abnormal circumstances, the Parliament acquires the power to enact the laws regarding the state list. The abnormal circumstances were: number 1, whenever the Rajya Sabha has asked the Parliament of India by passing a resolution to make laws regarding the state list. In such cases, the Parliament of India acquires the power to enact laws regarding the state list. And then, the next abnormal situation is whenever there is a national emergency is in operation, or whenever a president rule is in operation in a particular state, then in such cases, the Parliament of India has automatically acquires the power to enact laws regarding the state list. And then, whenever the 2 or more states has combinedly asked the Parliament of India to make laws in the state list, then in such cases the Parliament of India acquires the power to enact laws in the state subjects. Also, in order to give effect to the various international agreements or treaties or conventions which India has signed, then in such cases the Parliament of India has acquired the power to enact laws regarding the state list. These were all some of the important abnormal circumstances under which the Parliament of India has acquired the power to make laws in the state subject mentioned in the 7th schedule of Constitution of India. And Whenever the Parliament of India is not in a session, or whenever in the time period between two sessions, that is in a recess period of the Parliament of India, the President of India has the power to issue ordinances. That is, by issuing ordinances, the President of India can enact certain laws. But these laws or legislations have to be approved by the Parliament of India within the first 6 weeks from the reassembly date. If the Parliament of India does not approve this ordinance, then automatically this ordinance will be lapsed. It is also one of the legislative control which is executed by the Parliament of India. And then the one more important concept regarding the legislative powers and functions of Parliament of India were the delegated legislation. In delegated legislation, the Parliament of India makes the law only in a skeleton form. That is, only the outline of a law is made in the Parliament of India, and other rules and regulations were supposed to be made by the executive. These rules and regulations made by the executive have to be within the broad framework made by the Parliament of India, and these rules and regulations were also submitted to the Parliament of India for its approval. After legislative power and function of Parliament of India, the next important power and function is the executive power and function. We know that the Constitution of India has adopted the parliamentary form of government. That is, the executive is responsible for the parliament. Therefore, the parliament takes or have certain controls over the executive. Here the term executive implies the cabinet ministers and the members of parliament. The parliament controls over these executive by way of having various committees in the parliament. Some important committees were the committees on government assurances, the committee on subordinate legislation, the committee on petitions, and apart from that, there are a lot of committees were present in the Parliament of India by using which the Parliament exercises the control over executive, that is control over cabinet ministers. We know that the India has adopted parliamentary form of government, and hence the cabinet ministers were responsible collectively for the Parliament of India. Here you have to note down that they are collectively responsible for Parliament, especially to the Lok Sabha. Here, as long as they enjoy the majority support in the Lok Sabha, the cabinet remains in the office. Here you have to note down one important thing. That is, the ministers were collectively responsible for the Parliament. That is, for any decision taken by the Government of India, all ministers have to be collectively responsible and answerable to the Parliament. Apart from that, each and every minister also has the individual responsibility. That is, we know that each and every ministers were allotted with various ministries or various departments. For any developments and questions regarding those ministries and departments, the concerned ministers were the responsible person, and hence the ministers, that is the cabinet ministers, were collectively responsible to the Parliament, and apart from that, each and every individual ministers have their own individual responsibility to the Parliament of India. And then the cabinet remains in the office as long as they enjoy the majority support in the Lok Sabha, that is in the lower house of the Parliament. If suppose the cabinet ministers or the government doesn't have the enough support in the Lok Sabha, then automatically the no confidence motion can be moved in the House of Parliament, and thereby the ministry can be collapsed and new general election can be conducted for forming new Lok Sabha assembly. Apart from passing a no confidence motion, there were various other ways also available to the parliamentarians for showing their disapproval to the Government of India. They were, number one, by not passing a motion of thanks to the President's inaugural address. That is, we know that the President of India addresses the parliamentarians in every first sitting of the session, as well as after the general election, first sitting is also addressed by the President. In those cases, the President has the government schemes and government's motto for the previous year as well as for the coming year. If at all this President's address is not passed in the House of Parliament, it is a very big defeat for the government, and by this way the disapproval can be shown to the government. And then by rejecting a money bill, We know that the money bill is a government bill, that is only the ministers can issue the money bill, that is finance minister in case of budget, railway minister in case of railway budget, or money bill can be of anything which deals about the Article 110. If suppose a bill introduced by the government or ministers is rejected in the House of Parliament, it shows a very big disapproval to the Government of India. And then by passing a censure motion or adjournment motion may also shows the disapproval to the Government of India, because both the censure movement as well as the adjournment motion has completely disturbs the regular functioning of the Parliament of India. And then the fourth important issue is by defeating the government on any vital issue also shows the disapproval of parliamentarians to the Government of India. And finally, by passing a cut motion also shows the disapproval to the government in general. After executive powers and functions, the next important powers and functions exercised by the Parliament of India were the financial powers and functions. The Constitution of India has states that no tax can be levied or collected and no expenditure can be incurred by executive except under the authority of law and with the approval of Parliament of India, which means the executive, that is the ministers, cannot be able to make both receipt as well as expenditure out of the Consolidated Fund of India without the approval of the Parliament of India. So, the government usually submits the budget report or budget to the Parliament of India, and Parliament has to pass the budget in order to make the receipt as well as expenditure out of the Consolidated Fund of India. Once the budget is passed in the House of Parliament, then money is automatically disbursed to various ministries depending upon their demand for grants. After the dispersal of money, for having the control over financial matters, the Parliament scrutinizes the way in which the money is utilized by using various financial committees. The important financial committees by which the Parliament scrutinizes the money spent were: number 1, Public Accounts Committee, number 2, Estimates Committee, and then the Committee on Public Undertakings. These committees clearly scrutinizes the money allocated for various grants and their utilization, and thereby these committees bring out the illegal, irregular, unauthorized and improper usage of the money, and thereby the Parliament questions the ministries regarding the improper utilization of the money. So, by having these two criteria, that is, the Parliament controls the money before allocating to the ministries, that is known as budgetary control, is done by the Parliament of India. And apart from having a budgetary control, even after allocation of money, they have post-budgetary control. That is, by using various committees, the Parliament scrutinizes the effective utilization of the money allocated. So, by this way, the Parliament exercises two kinds of control over the financial matters. Usually, the government submits the budget for only one financial year at a time. So, the Parliament has to pass the budget in every financial year. If suppose the money which is allocated for a particular demand for that particular financial year is not spent, then in such cases, the money which is not spent were automatically brought back to the Consolidated Fund of India. This rule is what known as rule of lapse. By this way, the Parliament makes sure that no reserve fund is built up without the authorization of the law. But this rule of lapse also leads to another phenomena known as March rush. The March rush means the heavy rush of expenditure towards the close of financial year. We know that the March month is the last month, that is, March 31 is the last day of a financial year, and hence, in order to completely spend the money allocated for the demands, usually the ministries as well as the departments used to spend a lot of money which is pending at the end of the financial year, that is in the month of March. So it is what known as March rush. After financial powers and functions, the next important powers and functions which the Parliament exercises were the constituent powers and functions. The Constitution of India has awarded certain powers to the Parliament by using which the Parliament can amend the Constitution. That is, the Parliament can add different provisions or remove certain provisions from the Constitution or even change the provisions which were already present in the Constitution. But these kind of amendments shouldn't violate the principle that is a basic structure principle. This basic structure principle is provided by the Supreme Court of India in the Kesavananda Bharati case in the year of 1973. Also, the Supreme Court has reaffirmed the importance of the basic structure in the Minerva Mill case also. The Minerva Mill case is held in the year of 1980. Apart from that, the Parliament can amend the Constitution in three important ways. The three important ways were: number 1, by passing the Constitution Amendment Bill by simple majority. That is, for passing this kind of Constitutional Amendment Bill, only a simple majority is sufficient. The simple majority means the majority of the members who were present and voting in the House of Parliament. You have to note down that the Constitution Amendment Bill have to be approved by both the Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha. If suppose there is a disagreement between the Constitutional Amendment Bill, then there is no joint sitting can be set in this case. So there will be no joint sitting and each house have to pass the Constitutional Amendment Bill individually, and that is an important criteria. Then the second way by which the Constitution Amendment Bill can be passed is by having a special majority. That is, the special majority means the majority of the total membership of each houses as well as the majority of minimum of the 2/3 of the members sitting and voting. That is, 2/3 of members have to be present and voting, and in which the majority have to be obtained. These conditions leads to the special majority. And the third circumstances in which the Constitution Amendment Bill can be passed in the House of Parliament is by having a special majority and also with the consent of half of all the state legislatures. That is, in this case, the special majority is needed. That is, majority of the total membership of each house and the majority of the 2/3 of the members present and voting, along with that the consent of the half of the state legislature. Here, the special majority is needed only in the Parliament, whereas in state legislature, just a simple majority is sufficient. So these were all the three kind of ways in which the Constitution can be amended in the House of Parliament. The important case you have to note down that the Constitution Amendment Bill always arises in the Parliament of India and not in any kind of state legislatures. But there is one exception which is available to this general rule. That is, state legislature can be able to initiate a Constitution Amendment Bill if suppose the state legislature need to abolish the state legislative council in the particular state. In such case, if the resolution is passed in the state legislature in simple majority, then the Parliament amends the Constitution for giving effect to such kind of resolution, and thereby the concerned state legislative council is abolished. It is the only one exception, and apart from that, all the other Constitution Amendment Bill always originate in the Parliament of India. After Constituent Power and Functions, the next important power which the Parliament of India exercises were the Judicial Powers and Functions. The Parliament of India has certain judicial powers, that is, by using which it can impeach the President for violation of the Constitution of India. Also, the Parliament has the power to impeach the Vice President from his office. Also, the Parliament can recommend the removal of judges from Supreme Court. Also, the removal of judges in the sense the Chief Justice of India is also included in this list. And the Parliament has also ordered or recommended the removal of High Court judges or Chief Election Commissioner or CAG, that is Comptroller and Auditor General. All these personalities can be removed from their office by passage of the recommendation from Parliament of India to the President. Similarly, the Parliament can also punish the members or any outsiders for breach of the privilege or contempt of Parliament. For these criteria or these circumstances, the Parliament can punish the members as well as the outsiders. These were some of the important judicial powers which were exercised by the Parliament of India. The next important power which is exercised by the Parliament of India is the electoral powers and functions. The Parliament of India participates in the election process of both Vice President as well as President. Also, the Lok Sabha elects the Speaker and Deputy Speaker, whereas the Rajya Sabha elects the Deputy Chairman. Here we know that the Vice President is the ex officio Chairman of Rajya Sabha. Also, you have to note down that the Parliament of India is authorized to make laws to regulate the elections to the office of President, Vice President, and also to the elections to the state legislatures. All these kind of laws can be made by the Parliament. Accordingly, the Parliament has enacted various important laws. The important laws were Presidential and Vice Presidential Election Act of 1952 and then RPA, that is Representation of People Act of 1950 and then Representation of People Act of 1951. These were all some of the important acts which were made by the Parliament of India to regulate the election to the office of President as well as to the office of Vice President, along with the elections to the various state legislatures. Apart from the electoral powers, the Parliament of India also exercises various other important powers. The other important powers were: number 1, the Parliament of India is the highest deliberative body. That is, in the Parliament of India, the various important issues which were related to the national and international significance were discussed. We know that the Parliament is the highest deliberative body, and hence the information which were provided in the House of Parliament is the authoritative and official statement. Also, you have to note down that the Parliament is the governing body which approves all the three types of emergencies. The three types of emergency in the sense the national emergency, financial emergency, as well as the president rule in the state. Apart from that, the Parliament can increase or decrease the area of a state, or even the Parliament can change the name of the states by using the constitutional amendment. But for those things, a simple majority is more than sufficient, not a special majority is needed. And then the Parliament can also change the jurisdiction of the High Courts, and even it can organize the Supreme Court or regulate the Supreme Court. Also, the Parliament can establish a common High Court for 2 or more states. If suppose a state is very small, then in such cases, the 2 or more states can be combinedly or collectively have a single common High Court. These kind of powers were vested with the Parliament of India. Position of Rajya Sabha, that is, position of upper house. We know that the Constitution of India is adopted or derived from the various important and best aspects from the other constitution. That is, the constitutional makers has picked the best provision available in various other constitutions of the world nations, and thereby they modified it and made it according to the suitability of the Indian needs. In this way, the Indian Constitution has a very big impact from the British Constitution as well as from the American Constitution. We have to see closely that in British they follow the parliamentary form of government. That is, Prime Minister is the supreme power, and in British the upper house is very much weaker. Whereas in United States of America they form the presidential form of government, and in USA the upper house is very much stronger because USA believes in the federalism, whereas British believes in the unionism. So, by having important provisions from both the British as well as from the America, the India has adopted a careful approach by using which the Indian upper house is not as strong as American upper house and not as weak as the British upper house. The Indian upper house, that is the Rajya Sabha, has some peculiar powers, and let us discuss about those powers and position of upper house related to the lower house. That is the position of Rajya Sabha in respect to the Lok Sabha in coming sections. The powers and position of the Rajya Sabha can be discussed in relation to the Lok Sabha in three important ways. That is, the occurrences or the places where the powers of Rajya Sabha is equal to the power of Lok Sabha, and the places where the powers of Rajya Sabha is unequal or inferior to the powers of Lok Sabha, and the places where the powers of Rajya Sabha has superiority over the powers of Lok Sabha. These were all the three important criteria by using which the position of Rajya Sabha can be clearly understood. First, let us see the matters or the places where the Rajya Sabha enjoys equal status with that of the Lok Sabha. Number 1. For the introduction and passage of ordinary bill, the Rajya Sabha enjoys equal status with the Lok Sabha. That is, the ordinary bill can be introduced both in Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha. But you have to note down that whenever there is a disagreement between the Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha regarding an ordinary bill, then it may lead to a joint sitting, thereby the Lok Sabha may have some upper hand. But in general, for introduction and passage, both the Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha has equal powers. Apart from that, for introduction and passage of the Constituent Amendment Bill, both the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha has equal status. That is, both Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha can initiate the Constitutional Amendment Bill, and for passage also, both the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha have to pass the Constitutional Amendment Bill individually. Here you have to note down that no joint sitting can be done in this case. Also, for introduction and passage of the Financial Bill, both the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha has same powers. Apart from that, for the election and impeachment of the President of India, in these circumstances also, both Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha enjoys equal status. Here, in the condition number 3, you have to clearly note down that the Financial Bill includes the Money Bill, Financial Bill of Type 1 and Financial Bill of Type 2. For Money Bill, the Lok Sabha has upper hand, but other than the Money Bill, the Financial Bill 1 and Financial Bill 2, both the Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha has the same powers. So don't have confusion. For Money Bill, the Lok Sabha has upper hand, whereas for Finance Bill of Type 1 and Finance Bill of Type 2, both the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha has equal footings. We have just now seen that for the election and removal of President of India, both the Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha has same powers. Similarly, for the election and removal of Vice President of India, both the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha has equal power. But you have to note down that for removal of Vice President, only the Rajya Sabha can initiate such a process. Only the Rajya Sabha have to pass a resolution stating that there is a need for removal of Vice President by having a special majority, and these have to be accepted by the Lok Sabha by simple majority, and only then the Vice President can be impeached from his office. Do note it down, the Rajya Sabha have to pass resolution with special majority, whereas the Lok Sabha have to agree with the simple majority. It is a sufficient criteria for the removal of Vice President from his office, that is the impeachment of Vice President from his office. And then the scenario in which for making a recommendation to the President for removal of Chief Justice of India, as well as for the removal of Judges of Supreme Court, as well as for the removal of High Court, as well as for the removal of Chief Election Commissioner, as well as for the removal of CAG, that is Comptroller Auditor General, the recommendations have to be passed by both the Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha to the President of India. Here, in such recommendations, the recommendation have to be passed by both houses individually, and in this case, both the Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha has equal powers. We know that the President of India is having certain powers by using which the President can issue an ordinance in the recess period of Parliament. Recess period of Parliament means whenever the House is not in a session, at that point of time, the President or Executive can be able to pass an ordinance to give an effect to any particular act or law. But such kind of an ordinances have to be approved by both the houses of the Parliament. For giving approval for such kind of ordinances, both the houses, that is Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha, has equal powers. And then the approval of proclamation of all three emergencies were also having a equal power between Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. Here, all the three type of emergency in the sense, the emergencies for financial emergency, national emergency, and also the emergency in the cases of state emergency. Here, all these kind of emergencies have to be approved by both the houses of the Parliament, that is Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha, and hence both the houses enjoy equal status regarding the approval of proclamation of these kind of emergencies. Apart from that, for selecting the ministers as well as the Prime Minister can be done from both the houses of Parliament. That is, the Cabinet Ministers as well as Prime Minister can be from both Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha, and hence in this selection process also the Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha enjoys equal status. But you have to note down that these ministers who were selected from the either house have been responsible only for the Lok Sabha, because it is the lower house and hence the government have to be responsible to the lower house, that is House of People. Here one more thing you have to note down that even though the ministers were selected from either house or the Prime Minister were selected from either house of the Parliament, they can participate in the proceedings of either house of the Parliament, but they can be able to vote only in the house to which they were elected. It is one of the important point, do note it down. The ministers as well as the Prime Minister were eligible to vote only to the house to which they were elected and not the other case. The Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha also enjoys the equal support in the cases of the analyzing of the reports. That is, whenever a constitutional body submits the report in front of the house, then both the houses have the equal powers to go through it. That is, the report submitted by Finance Commission or report submitted by UPSC, that is a Union Public Service Commission, or the report submitted by the Comptroller Auditor General. Then in those cases, the Rajya Sabha as well as Lok Sabha has the same power. Similarly, for enlargement of the jurisdiction of Supreme Court of India as well as for the Union Public Service Commission, both the houses of the Parliament has the same powers. And then the powers, privileges and immunities awarded to both the houses of the Parliament, that is, the powers, privileges and immunities awarded to members as well as the committees of both the houses of the Parliament were equal in the sense. That is, both the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha has equal amount of powers and equal privileges and equal immunities in all the matters. It is also the occurrences where the Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha were equal in status. And in cases of the financial matters, we know that the money have to be withdrawn from the Consolidated Fund of India for spending the expenditure or running the government. For that reason, the government has to pass the budget bill. But we know that the Rajya Sabha doesn't have as much power with regard to the budget. But whenever there is a bill regarding the appropriation bill, then both the houses of the Parliament have to pass the appropriation bill individually in order to take money out of the Consolidated Fund of India. And in those cases, both the Rajya Sabha as well as Lok Sabha has the equal power. That is, in cases of appropriation bill, that is a bill for taking the money out of Consolidated Fund of India, then in those cases, both the houses of the Parliament has equal powers. So far we have discussed about the matters or occurrences in which both Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha has equal powers. Now let us see the occurrences or matters in which the Lok Sabha has upper hand when compared to Rajya Sabha, that is the unequal status of Rajya Sabha with respect to the Lok Sabha. First, the case of a money bill. A bill can be certified as a money bill only by the Speaker of Lok Sabha. That is, the chairman has no say to certify a bill as a money bill. Only the speaker has the power to certify a bill as a money bill. And then a money bill is a bill which deals about the matters only from the article 110. In the cases of the money bill can only be originated in the Lok Sabha, and that too can be done with the recommendation of the President. The money bill cannot be introduced in the Rajya Sabha. Once the money bill is introduced and passed in the Lok Sabha, it is sent to the second house or Rajya Sabha. The Rajya Sabha doesn't enjoy as many powers like Lok Sabha. In these cases of the money bill, the Rajya Sabha is completely constrained to various limitations. That is, Rajya Sabha cannot be able to amend the money bill. Similarly, Rajya Sabha cannot be able to reject a money bill, and the Rajya Sabha should have to return the bill back to Lok Sabha within 14 days of time period. Here you have to note down that if the Rajya Sabha doesn't return the bill to the Lok Sabha within 14 days of the time period, then the bill, that is a money bill, is automatically considered to be passed by both the houses of the parliament in original form itself. Now also consider, since there is no provision for Rajya Sabha to amend the money bill, the Rajya Sabha can make some recommendations regarding the money bill. That is, the Rajya Sabha can make some recommendations regarding money bill and send back to the Lok Sabha. But in cases, the Lok Sabha can either accept those recommendations or completely reject all those recommendations sent by Rajya Sabha. In either case, the money bill is automatically deemed to have been passed by both the houses of the parliament. So it simply states that the Lok Sabha has upper hand with regard to the money bill when compared to Rajya Sabha. And then the second condition is regarding financial bill. We know that the financial bill is of three types, that is money bill, financial bill of type 1 and financial bill of type 2. We have earlier discussed about the conditions regarding the money bill. Now let us discuss about the matters or the powers of Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha regarding the finance bill of type 1 and finance bill of type 2. The finance bill is a bill which contains the matters of article 110, and along with that it contains other matters for the general legislation. But in those cases also, the financial bill of type 1 as well as type 2 must be or have to be introduced only in the Lok Sabha, and financial bill cannot be able to introduce in the Rajya Sabha. But you have to note down that in the process of legislation, both the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha enjoys the equal status with regard to the financial bill of type 1 and financial bill of type 2. And then, with respect to the ordinary bill, both the houses of the parliament has equal powers regarding introduction and passage. And hence, if suppose there is a disagreement between both the houses of the parliament, there is disagreement between Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha regarding any particular bill, then in such cases the Lok Jam will be created. So to resolve this Lok Jam, the President of India convenes a joint sitting of both the houses of the parliament to make the smooth passage of the bill. Whenever a joint sitting is conducted for the both houses of the parliament, the Speaker of Lok Sabha is the person who presides over the house. Here you have to note down that the chairman of Rajya Sabha has no power to preside over a joint sitting. Only the Speaker of Lok Sabha has power to preside over joint sitting. So in this case, the Lok Sabha has upper hand. Similarly, the Lok Sabha is the house of people with the representatives more than that of the Rajya Sabha. That is, Lok Sabha has a representative strength of 552 peoples in majority case, and also the Rajya Sabha has a support of the or strength of 250. In these cases, the Rajya Sabha has lesser number of people when compared to the Lok Sabha, and hence whenever there is a joint sitting, the Lok Sabha has upper hand when compared to the Rajya Sabha. In cases of the budget is usually submitted to the House of Parliament in every financial year. So here the Lok Sabha has the upper hand when compared to the Rajya Sabha with regard to the budget, because budget can be only discussed in the Rajya Sabha, and the Rajya Sabha has no power to vote on demand for grants. The voting on demand for grants is the privilege which is enjoyed by the Lok Sabha, and so in the cases of the budget, the Lok Sabha enjoys the upper hand with regard to the Rajya Sabha. Also, we have earlier seen that for the approval of emergencies, both the Rajya Sabha as well as Lok Sabha enjoys the equal powers. But whenever there is a resolution for discontinuance of the national emergency is to be passed, then in such cases, the Lok Sabha is the authorized house to pass such a resolution. The Rajya Sabha has no power regarding it. Also, you have to note down that we know that India has following the parliamentary system of government, and where the government enjoys the majority support in the Lok Sabha, that is lower house, they continue in the office. If suppose the ruling government loses the support of majority in the lower house, then automatically the no confidence motion can be initiated, and thereby the government can be defeated and a new general election can be conducted for new Lok Sabha assembly. You have to clearly note down that the no confidence motion can only be initiated or passed in the lower house of the parliament, that is Lok Sabha, and no confidence motion cannot be able to pass in the upper house, that is Rajya Sabha. The reason is the Council of Ministers, that is the Prime Minister or government, were collectively responsible to the Lok Sabha and not to the Rajya Sabha. But Rajya Sabha can still be able to discuss and criticize regarding the policies of the government, and even the Rajya Sabha can amend the motion of thanks which is sent after the presidential address. In those cases, the Rajya Sabha can show their disapproval, but still for passing a no confidence motion is an exclusive privilege of the Lok Sabha. So this is the place in which the Lok Sabha has upper hand with regard to the Rajya Sabha. So far we have discussed about the matters in which the Rajya Sabha is equal to Lok Sabha and matters in which the Rajya Sabha is inferior to the Lok Sabha. Now let us see the special powers of Rajya Sabha, that is the matters in which the Rajya Sabha is superior to the Lok Sabha. The Constitution of India has provided two important exclusive power to the Rajya Sabha, in which the Rajya Sabha enjoys the upper hand when compared to Lok Sabha. We know that the 7th schedule of Constitution of India is talking about the division of powers. That is, the 7th schedule has classified the subject matters for legislation into three important lists. They were Union List, Concurrent List and State List. The subject matters which does not mentioned in the 7th schedule falls under the residuary list. Here, the Parliament of India has the power to make laws on the Union List as well as residuary list. Similarly, the Parliament of India can be able to make laws on the concurrent list also. But the Parliament of India has no power to legislate on the state list. But the Rajya Sabha can authorize the Parliament of India to enact a law on the state list. Such kind of authorization have to be approved by a minimum of 2/3 of the members of the Parliament, that is members of Rajya Sabha, who were present and voting. The provision for enactment of law on the state list by Parliament is clearly mentioned in the Article 249 of Constitution of India. This resolution, which empowers the Parliament to enact laws on the state list, is in power for a maximum period of only 1 year at a time. This 1 year time can be extended to any amount of time by passing a similar resolution, that is passing a similar resolution with 2/3 of the members of the Parliament, that is the members of Rajya Sabha, present and voting. So it can be extended for further period by passing a similar resolution. This power is exclusive privilege of the Rajya Sabha. Also, the Constitution of India in Article 312 has empowered the Rajya Sabha to authorize for creation of any new All India service by passing a resolution of members not less than 2/3 present and voting in the Rajya Sabha. The All India service cannot be expanded by the Lok Sabha individually. Only the Rajya Sabha has the power to create new All India services. It is also exclusive privilege of the Rajya Sabha, in which the Rajya Sabha enjoys the upper hand, or these powers were not at all shared with the Lok Sabha. And then Whenever there is a proclamation of emergency is issued after the dissolution of Lok Sabha, then in such cases, Rajya Sabha is the only authorized house to approve such kind of proclamation. The Rajya Sabha have to approve the proclamation within the specified period of time by thereby giving effect to the proclamation of emergency to remain in force. Here, the Lok Sabha is already dissolved and Rajya Sabha, being a continuing chamber, is the reason for having this kind of power. It is the power which is enjoyed in the abnormal circumstances, and it is also the place where the Rajya Sabha has upper hand with respect to the Lok Sabha. The reason is Rajya Sabha is a continuing chamber, whereas the Lok Sabha terminates at the end of every 5th year. So overall, the Rajya Sabha is lagging with respect to the Lok Sabha in two important aspects. They were, number one, the financial matters. In financial matters, the Lok Sabha has the upper hand because the money bill can be introduced only in Lok Sabha, and also the financial bills also have to be introduced only in Lok Sabha. Apart from that, in case of budget, the voting for demand for grants is exclusive privilege of the Lok Sabha. So in matters of financial, the Lok Sabha has the upper hand with respect to the Rajya Sabha. And then the matters which deals with the control of Council of Ministers is exclusive privilege of the Lok Sabha, because no confidence motion can only be initiated in the Lok Sabha and it cannot be done by the Rajya Sabha. So these were all the two important areas where the Rajya Sabha is lagging behind the Lok Sabha. Apart from that, in all other cases, both Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha has equal amount of power. If that is the case, the reason for having a Rajya Sabha in Indian parliamentary system is, number one, the lower house, being the house of the people, the members of the parliament may enact various laws by focusing on the populist measures. That is, in order to secure the vote from the people for next election, the government may issue the lots of acts in a hasty manner. That is, by the government can make a lot of hasty measures for securing the vote from the people. So in order to check these kind of improper functioning or inefficient governing, the Rajya Sabha is needed to make a check and balance. Apart from that, the experts and professionals cannot be able to participate in the election process and secure their presence in the Parliament of India. And for that reason, the Rajya Sabha is the perfect house to accommodate these kind of professionals and experts, because the President can himself nominate about 12 such experts and professionals from various fields into the Rajya Sabha. Thereby, the expert and professional touch can be found in the government policies and promotions. Apart from that, India being a quasi-federal nation, it is necessary for giving importance to the interest of states, and hence it is must for having a second chamber, that is, it is must for having House of States, that is Rajya Sabha, in Parliament of India. These were all the three important cases or reasons for having the Rajya Sabha in Parliament of India. And that is what all about this video lecture. And now let us take a quick review on what we have learned so far. Initially, we have learned about the role of Parliament. The role of Parliament is studied in 7 important topics. Number 1 is the legislative power and functions of the Parliament of India. We know that the Parliament of India is the supreme legislative body and they legislate for the proper functioning of the Government of India. Then we have seen about the executive powers and functions. The Parliament of India depends on the basic principle that executive is responsible to the Parliament. That is, the Council of Ministers were responsible to the Lok Sabha in particular. So thereby the Lok Sabha exercises various controls to the representatives. That is studied in the executive powers and functions of the Parliament of India. Later we have seen about the financial powers and functions, in which we have seen about how the budget is controlled, that is budgetary control and post-budgetary control. These two measures were employed for making a proper control over the consolidated fund of India. After which we have seen about the constituent power and functions of the Parliament of India. The constituent power and functions of Parliament of India deals about the ability of the Parliament of India to amend the constitution. It is one of the important provision which we have learned. After which we have learned about the judicial power of the Parliament of India. That is judicial power and functions of Parliament of India, in which we have seen about the impeachment of President, Vice President, likewise that we have studied in this case. After which we have seen about the electoral powers and functions of the Parliament of India. The electoral powers and functions of Parliament of India in the sense, the Parliament of India elects Speaker, that is from Lok Sabha, as well as they elect Chairman, that is Deputy Chairman from the Rajya Sabha among themselves. Apart from that, they were also participate in the election procedure for President as well as to the election procedure of Vice President. These were all some of the important powers which were enjoyed by the Parliament of India to execute the constitutional obligation which is provided to them. Apart from that, there were other powers were also available to the Parliament of India, which we have studied in different heads. Later, we have studied about the position of Rajya Sabha with respect to the Lok Sabha. This is discussed in three important heads, that is the places where Rajya Sabha is equal to the Lok Sabha and places in which the Rajya Sabha is unequal or inferior to that of the Lok Sabha, and the matters in which the Rajya Sabha is superior to Lok Sabha. The places in which Rajya Sabha is equal to Lok Sabha were in matters of passing of ordinary bills, or in matters of election of President, or in matters of election of Prime Minister or Council of Ministers. In those cases, both of them were equal. The second condition, that is in matters in which Rajya Sabha is inferior to Lok Sabha, is the cases dealing with the money bill, and also in case of a joint sitting, the Lok Sabha has upper hand. So these were some of the matters in which the Lok Sabha has upper hand when compared to Rajya Sabha. The matters in which Rajya Sabha has upper hand with respect to Lok Sabha is discussed in two important articles, that is article number 249 of Constitution of India and article 312 has awarded certain powers to the Rajya Sabha which is not shared with the Lok Sabha. That is article 249 empowers the Rajya Sabha to make a resolution, thereby the Parliament of India can enact a law on the state list. It is one exclusive privilege available to the Rajya Sabha. And then the Rajya Sabha is the authorized house to create a new All India services by passing a resolution supported by 2/3 of the members present and voting. After which we have seen about the reason for having Rajya Sabha in the House of Parliament. So that is what we have seen. All the best for your examination. Keep visiting www.comeonindia.com for further videos regarding UPSC exam preparations. Thank you.